Adventures of Cowboy Jessie and Cowboy Earl by H.R. Hunsaker. Tonight's episode, Cowboys and Aliens.
Earl was riding Tago along the back fence line when Jessie and Star rode up in a blaze. Jessie had a smug look on his face and was eager to share some good news with Earl. "Earl, it's here," said Jessie as he reached into his saddlebag and removed the red Netflix envelope. He held up the envelope proudly and announced, "It's here, Earl. It's finally here." "What is it?" asked Earl in annoyance. "It's Netflix, Earl," replied Jessie without his excitement wearing off. "Don't you remember, Earl? It's Cowboys and Aliens. We've been waiting for this for months." Earl had been dreading this for weeks. He couldn't let Jessie know that he had snuck off into town and saw it at the Cinemark. It would make him look weak. "I ain't interested." "What do you mean you're not interested?" asked Jessie. "This was your idea and all. You remember. You said it would help keep the cowboy spirit alive and all." "I know darn well what I said, Jessie. I said I'm not interested." Earl hated to be so gruff with Jessie, but he had to get this shut down before he'd have to fess up to his own abomination. "I just don't get you, Earl," said Jessie. "You're up one minute and down the next." Jessie shook his head in disappointment. "I'm going to go back to the bunkhouse and watch it. You can come along if you want." The dejected Jessie pulled back on Star's bridle and turned it towards the bunkhouse. Earl was disgusted with himself. He'd gone off and hurt Jessie's feelings for no good reason but pride. Jessie started to ride off and Earl hollered out. Jessie stopped and turned Star towards Earl. "I done seen it, Jess," said Earl. "What do you mean you seen it?" asked Jessie. Earl was many things, but a liar he was not. From the distance between them, he stared deep into Jessie's eyes and held it there for what seemed an eternity. "I said I seen it, Jessie. Just leave it at that." Jessie began to put the whole story together in his head. He remembered a couple months back Earl excusing himself from the ranch to go for a checkup. He should have known better. Earl doesn't get checkups. Jessie, with a Cheshire grin, replied back to Earl, "So how'd you make out on that checkup?" Grateful for not having to fess up, Earl replied, "Just fine, Jessie, just fine." Jessie turned Star towards the bunkhouse and left in a full gallop. Earl and Tago sat up on the ridge until well past dusk. In the distance, if he looked just right, he could make out the lights of the bunkhouse. Earl turned and looked deep into the starlit sky, searching for anything out of the ordinary. The end.